Rombitek channel, where we usually do DIY and basically anything to do with idealistic creativity. Now today is going to be all about the rain harvester, because you all know that water is life. Now think about this situation that we have here in Zimbabwe, particularly here in Bulawayo, where I stay. There's this challenge of water. We're facing several water shortages as a result of low water levels in the city's supply dams and an inconsistent weather pattern in the region caused by global warming and several other factors. Also, the rains may have not been reaching the catchment areas or the catchment areas where the city's supply dams are located. Also, there's the issue of buying water because local boreholes and whatnot have been overwhelmed by a large number of people, which has potentially turned into a COVID-19 hotspot if you think about it. So now, I thought, since there's been a lot of rain in the past 3, if not 4 weeks or so, there's been a good amount of rain. So what are the chances that that rain is reaching the catchment areas where the dams are located? So it's very unlikely that the dams are filling up as expected by the people, which is perfectly understandable. Now this is an opportunity for the ordinary person to harvest God's wonderful blessing in the form of rain. So I have personally faced some, if not all, of the challenges I've been highlighting earlier. So I was looking at an old cooking oil bottle and thought, why not turn it into a gutter for rainwater harvesting? So besides, it's also good for the environment in terms of recycling. So now let me show you how. Here I've got a 30cm ruler, a magic marker or a highlighter, a stapler, a scissors, a DIY scissors. Here on my hands is an old cooking oil bottle, 2 liters. You can see that's the front, that's the back, then those are the sides. Now this is what I did here. This cooking oil bottle, I'm going to cut it into two halves, that is, right through the center. So I was using the ruler and the magic marker to highlight the center along the length of the bottle. So I highlighted on one side and also on the other side. So those are 2 sides that I highlighted there. So now what's going to happen here, I'm going to cut this bottle into 2 halves using the scissors. So after cutting the bottle into 2 halves, as you can see right there, those are the 2 halves that I cut from the bottle. So this is 1 half, this is another half. Now if you look at these halves, you can tell that they have sort of like a U shape, which is basically the shape of a channel. So that being the case, if you lay 1 half on top of the other half like that, you overlap the 2 like that, we have 2 channels. So we want to take advantage of those halves, putting them together until they form a length that is significant enough to collect enough rainwater. So the idea for the stapler is to staple the bottles together. Now those 2 halves, you staple them together. So that's basically what the end product is supposed to look like from what I've done so far. So that's basically the prototype. Here at the end there is a funnel or a bottle that I cut into a funnel for collection of the rainwater that is flowing from the gutter. So at the end there I put a V shape, as you can see that V shape there. So It's basically to make sure the water flows into the hoop or into the funnel, and make sure that water is collected. Is that hose pipe that you see there collects water. And also on the sides of the gutter, I put a metal, I took from an old door handle to support the base, which is in the form of a steel or a metal sheet that is basically holding it, the gutter up, to make sure that it doesn't fall, make sure that it doesn't bend or sag. A good amount of water was collected recently, so I connected that DIY gutter to an old recycled storage drum. That's usually those 210-liter drums. The quality of the water is determined by the cleanliness of your rain harvester and the storage media, which is the storage drum. So you can see that drum I was talking about, the 210-liter drum, basically for storing the water that is collected from the gutter or the water that is coming from the rain. So that's the tap flowing with water there. Something that is a beautiful sight to watch, especially after such a long day of work. So you can see the water is brownish, basically due to the tank. The tank is rusty inside, so that's some of the residue in the water there. So the water is basically not necessarily for drinking, because that will be hazardous to someone's stomach. So flushing the toilet and bathing, if boiled, can be used for bathing. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you click that red button below, subscribe and subscribe.